Hi guys, this art lesson is going to be on block printing. There's a lot of different materials that you can use for your block. I'm going to be using a product called Easy Cut. It's a soft, rubbery material. The advantages of this is that it is easy to cut into. The disadvantage is that the softer the material, the less detail you'll be able to get. So harder material like linoleum or wood, you'll achieve a higher level of detail, but it's harder to cut into. Softer material, easier to cut, but less detail. The subject I'm going to be using is this orca whale. I found it on the internet and scaled it to the same size as my block. They're 4-inch squares here, and I'm going to transfer this image onto my block using a piece of graphite paper or carbon paper. The shiny side, I'll place the shiny side down on my block, put my image on top like this, and I'm going to put 2 pins in. You could also use tape to do this. I'm only going to put the pins on the top because I want to be able to lift this up and see how my design is coming along. I like to use a fat, blunt pencil when I'm doing my transfer. If you use a pencil that's too sharp, you can easily tear through your paper. So using a dull, wide pencil is good for this transferring technique. And now I'm simply going to trace all of the contours and outlines of my design. Before I get too far in, I want to lift this up and double check that my transfer is happening. Yep, I can see it there. And this is enough for me to go back over now and trace out my lines again. I can see where they need to be. There we go. Nice. Now I'm ready to start cutting away at my block. I have a variety of gouges here. These gouges are in different sizes and different shapes, different U shapes and different V shapes. You need to be careful with these. These are knife blades on the ends of these. And I just decided to add a thin border around the edge of my block. I'm going to leave that there. So now I'm ready to start cutting away the area that's going to stay white. Anything that I remove is going to stay white. I'm going to leave the areas that I want to be black and remove the areas that I want to be white. I'll start with my largest gouge, cutting away the big open areas. When you are cutting, cut away from yourself and always be mindful of where your other hand is. I would never cut towards my hand like this. Cut away. There is another tool called a bench hook that you can use that helps you hold the block in place so that your other hand doesn't even need to be here. But since I'm using this very easy to cut material, I feel confident that as long as I'm aware of where I'm holding the block and the direction that I'm cutting, I won't have any mishaps. I'm ready to begin cutting, and this is a situation that I would often remind my art students about being mindful about what you're doing. Getting into the artist zone where you're just focused on your own work and not distracted by things around you or other people around you. And this is a type of art meditation. Just allow yourself to be calm and focused on what you're doing. I don't need to cut very deep, and I don't want to cut all the way through the block. Just cutting away the surface. I'm cutting at a very shallow angle. Notice that I turn the block so that I'm always cutting away from myself. Okay, I think I've got it. And now I'm gonna get prepared to print my block. Okay, so I've got my materials to print with. I've got a clear piece of acrylic plexiglass here. This is going to be my palette. I taped off an area that the ink is going to stay inside. All of my ink will stay inside this box. I have my ink here. I'm going to be using a black water-soluble printing ink, block printing ink. I've got my brayer. Technically it's called a brayer. You can also call it a roller. And I always set the roller down with the bar side down. And when this has ink on it, that helps me keep my space clean. And I'm going to be using this Japanese rice paper. Rice paper is very nice to print on. All right, so I'll start by squeezing out a very small amount of ink. There we go, that's all I need to get started. I'm going to roll my ink out, up and down, left and right, staying well inside my box. Okay, good. Here's my block. So now I'm going to roll the ink onto the brayer, and this is called charging the brayer. Now I'm going to roll the ink onto my block. Ooh, that looks good already. Okay, setting the brayer down with the bar side down. Here's some small pieces of rice paper that I cut out. This has a rougher side and a smoother side. Technically, you can print on either side, but the smooth side usually has the best result. I'll lay this down. And then I'm just going to rub it with my fingers, gently, rubbing everywhere. Now I'm going to gently peel back my print. Let's see what we got. Hey, not bad. As you can see, it prints backwards. So if the orientation of the art itself is important to you, you either need to reverse your image that you started with, and that's especially important to pay attention to if you're printing anything that has words or numbers or letters on it. One of the other great things about printmaking is that you can make multiple copies. So I'm going to print 3 more copies of this, so I have an addition of 4. Print number 2. Ooh, nice. That one came out well. There's my first one and my second one. Very nice. These lines that are left behind from the cutting are a characteristic of block cutting. I enjoy them. I purposely leave some of those, but if it bothers you, you can go back in and carve a little bit more out so that you don't get as many of those lines showing. It's up to the artist to decide how they want theirs to look. Well, I'm going to make 2 more prints, so I have my set of 4. Thanks for watching. Have fun.